Okay, I'm back. So we're talking Mare of Easttown. This is episode 2. If you have not watched it yet, turn off this video. Spoilers ahead. So episode 2 is called Fathers, and I kind of forget how the episode starts. All I know is that they find the girl dead. Yes, they call Mare out to the crime scene. It's definitely Aaron. Kenny is Aaron's father. Mare's best friend's husband. Mare's best friend, Lore, her husband is John, who is Kenny's cousin. Okay, so Mare, once she finds out that the girl's dead, she calls her best friend Laura to tell her husband and his brother, forget the brother's name, go with her to tell Kenny that his daughter has died. As I said in the last video, everybody is either related or knows each other. Okay. So they get to the dad's house. The dad's like asleep on the couch. They wake him up, tell him that his daughter is, has been killed. Not only has she died, but she's been killed. And he clearly loses it, starts breaking stuff, and is ready to go out and kill the ex-boyfriend, the father of her baby. And they stop him, whatever, but he's just a mess. Okay. So then they cut to, and I forgot to mention this in the last video. So Mare is raising her grandson, Drew, because her son, before he died, he had a child with his girlfriend. Both of them had drug problems. So the mom, to this point, hasn't been fit. She's been in rehab, trying to get her life together. And Mare has been raising, their child. She has guardianship of the baby. And she's been co-grandparenting with her ex-husband, who lives across her yard in his own house with his new fiance. Messy. Just messy. Okay, anyway. So anyway, they cut to Carrie. Carrie is Mare's grandson's mother, who is a recovering drug addict, and the grandma and the daughter, Siobhan, took the grandson to visit his mom while she's recovering, and she's like, "Oh, you got candy? Thanks for the candy. Oh, by the way, I want full custody of my son." Bloop. And Siobhan's like, my mom's gonna fight you on that. She's like, "Well, he's my son, not hers." So it's like, okay, so that's another, storm brewing. So anyway, they cut to the police station. Dylan, who was the murdered, Dylan is Aaron's ex-boyfriend, the father of her baby. He's being questioned by Mare at the police station. And while he's there, his girlfriend, the bully, Brianna, is blowing up his phone. And Mare's like, "Oh, you can answer that." And he's like, "No, I'm not going to answer that." So whatever. Then they cut to a press conference, about the death. Then I didn't take notes there. And also, even if you're not doing recap, I would recommend kind of taking notes while watching the show, just because there are so many names and so many people and relationships. It's kind of hard to keep it all together. If I hadn't to take notes, I would have been lost. So anyway, Dylan was being I already talked about. Oh yes. So then enters into the picture, because she didn't solve the case of the girl who's still missing, Katie. I forget her last name. She still hasn't solved the case. Now another girl is dead. So they brought in a detective from the county. His name is Detective Colin Zabel, who's being played by Evan Peters. I think Evan Peters. He was Quicksilver in one of the superhero movies. Anyway, so as we know, Mare is not nice, and so she's super rude. She finds him in her office. She's rude as hell, and he puts out his hand. He's really trying to be sincere and nice to her, and she's just rude and was like, "I need a smoke break," and just walks out. So, oh yeah, by the way, Mare vapes. I was like, Okay, like every time something like major happens, she's. It's just funny. I don't. It's not funny, but it's just like weird to see like Caitlin's with vaping. Okay. So then, while at the office, they end up seeing the video that kid recorded because he put it online, like dumb teenagers do, of them beating up Erin, the murdered girl. And so Mare clearly sees Brianna like punching her and kicking her and stuff. So Mare's like, I know that girl. I'm going to go get her. So they go. So Brianna Del Raso, her family owns this restaurant called Del Raso's, and Brianna, they get to the restaurant, and of course Mare knows the parents, the mom, whatever. And Brianna's like waiting tables, and then Detective Colin is like, don't you want to take her outside? She's like, Mare's like, no. She beat her up in front of a bunch of people. She can get arrested in front of a bunch of people. I'm like, okay, Mare. Just like, Mare is hardcore. That's all I'm gonna say. So they arrest the girl in the restaurant. The parents are like freaking out, and they holler down to the county jail. So anyway, as I mentioned earlier, Frank is Mare's ex-husband, who's also her neighbor, and they're co-grandparenting Drew, the little grandson. Frank asks her, Mare pops up at his house for whatever reason, don't remember, because remember I binged this whole thing. So turns out Frank was an algebra teacher, and he had Erin in his class. He didn't really know her that well, but all he says is that he felt things weren't good at home. Okay. Then Mare confronts her daughter, because she sees her daughter on the video confronting the murder victim. Like, why didn't you tell me you saw that girl? She's dead. You're my daughter. How am I not going to know my own daughter was there? All this. Daughter, that didn't go down well. So then, turns out the grandson, he's got some issues blinking his eyes. And it turns out the dad, who had mental health issues, had also did that at his age. So they were like worried about the boy. So then the next day at work, the detective comes and does a reset with Mare, like, look, I'm on your team, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to take over. You're the chef, I'm the sous chef, so what's cooking, He kind of does like that corporate speak stuff. And Mare's just looking at him like, oh, all right. So, let's see. So they do that, but then Brianna's dad, who you will clearly see where she got the bullying from, because he starts bullying Mare, and he like confronts her at her house as she's leaving for a date with the Silver Fox. And so, her hair is actually done. She done put some makeup on. Homegirl looks good. She's trying to get to her car all dolled up, and Brianna's dad is like in her face, like, how you gonna arrest my daughter? Knowing that his daughter assaulted that girl. Anyway. So Mare gets to the Silver Fox at some point had invited her to a party about his book, and they keep making this big deal that he only wrote like one book that was successful or whatever, and he keeps being celebrated for it. So she shows up this fancy book party, and it's very, very clear that Mare does not fit in there, even though she looks nice and all that, but like she's definitely like in a fish out of water situation. She doesn't know anybody there. They're serving duck liver pate on crackers, and there's waiters walking around. It's just fancy. And so she gets there and sees him. He acknowledges her, and then like he's just still flirting and mingling with other people. Like, no, he didn't. Like, you did not invite her to this, and then gonna act like you ain't gonna make time to see her. She don't do these types of things. You knew where you met her and how she acted. Like, don't play her like that. So anyway, so she like tries some of the pate. She like spits it in a napkin, pushes the napkin in the couch, and then she sees him flirting with some women. She's like, you know what? I don't have time for this. I'm out. And she leaves, and then he chases her outside, and he apologizes, and then they end up going back inside. So Anyway, so then you cut to Dylan. He's at home with his parents. His parents are all shell-shocked and they're rocking the baby. You know, they're just like trying to make it through. You know, the mother of their grandson is dead, you know. So Dylan was like, I'm going to the store. I need to get out of here. And they're like, you sure you want to go to the store with all this going on? He's like, I didn't do it. I'm not going to be a prisoner in my own house. Just like the way these kids are talking to their parents, completely out of pocket. Completely out of pocket. And I'm like, these parents, like, all I can say is I know y'all didn't come up in church. That's all. Anyway, so Dylan goes to the store, and this is where we learn that the mom of the missing girl, who's been missing for a year, who also is battling cancer, she works as a cashier at this gas station. So Dylan goes in there, buys cigarettes, and she's all staring him down all crazy because she knows, she just has, you know, moms know, she just has this feeling that he has something to do with it. But he's just like, just sell me my cigarettes, you know, being all ignorant, big-headed teen that he is. So then he gets in the car, and you know something ain't right. The murder girl's dad, Kenny, who we met at the beginning of the episode, he's in there with a gun, and tells the boy, he was hiding in the backseat with a gun. Boy gets in, he's like, drive to the turnpike. So you can pretty much guess that it's not gonna go well. So then Mare also ends up stopping at this gas station as Kenny is driving away with a gun pointed at him. Mare pulls up to get gas and has to go inside to pay her. Brianna's dad is there. And he's like definitely intimidating her in the store. And to the cashier's credit, even though her and Mare were beefing in the last episode, she stands up for Mare, like, look, leave her alone. And so then we cut to Aaron's friend Trisha, and she's in her room crying, and Trisha ends up confessing that Dylan, who is now, you know, separately having at gunpoint, is not the father of Aaron's baby. And it's like, what? That's kind of out of left field. Like, what? He's not that father's baby. So meanwhile, Kenny, the dad, ends up shooting Dylan twice in the back and leaving him in the woods. And so the girl who's crying says she knows Dylan isn't the father, and she thinks it's Frank Sheehan. And if you forget who Frank is Mare's ex-husband. So that's the end of episode 2. We'll talk about episode 3 in the next video.